You're watching BBC World News with me, Karen Giannoni. The latest headlines. Donald Trump denies using a crude word to describe poor countries. The US president was discussing immigration when he reportedly made the insult. A surprise move from India as 4 top judges accused the Chief Justice of breaking court rules and putting democracy in danger. Well, it's a social media campaign that has spread to nearly every corner of the world and empowered women and men to stand up and talk about their own experiences of sexual harassment and violence. The so-called Me Too movement started in the wake of numerous allegations made by women against Hollywood film producer Harvey Weinstein. Well, one of those women is Ashley Judd. Alongside her work on stage and screen, Ms. Judd is also a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Population Fund. She has just spoken to my colleague Stephen Saka for the BBC's Hard Talk programme, and he joins us now from Washington. Hello to you, Stephen. You're speaking to Ashley Judd, such a key figure at such a time of change for Hollywood.
Yeah, very much so, Karen. I think it's fair to say that Ashley Judd is one of the leading lights, one of the most influential voices in the Me Too campaign. And of course, she was one of the first very prominent figures to go public with her experiences, her accusations about the behavior of Harvey Weinstein. And in a sense, she opened the floodgates because so many more women then told their own stories about what they had experienced with Harvey Weinstein. I spoke to her just a short while ago. She reflected on the Golden Globes, where of course so many women dressed in black as a mark of their commitment to a new culture in Hollywood, a much greater emphasis put on gender equality in all sorts of different ways. And I began by asking her how she now felt about everything that's happened to her and the campaign in the months since late last year, when the first stories about Harvey Weinstein emerged, and this was her response.
Joy, just unmitigated, electrifying joy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it's here. I've been telling this story for a long time, since the moment it happened, in fact, because, you know, my particular examples of harassment with Harvey Weinstein, I'm a teller. To use the word that Laura Dern used the other night on stage at the Golden Globes, I'm a tattler. And, you know, I was molested for the first time when I was 7 years old, and the first thing I did was go to a grown-up and say, hey, this just happened. And as so often the case, the grown-ups said, oh, he's a nice old man, that's not what he meant. But I somehow or another managed, Stephen, to stay absolutely authentic in my truth, that I knew that something terribly wrong had happened. And I think that's why I'm such a crusader for gender equality and for the full eradication of all gender and sexual-based violence, because I experienced it as a youth. I experienced it in Hollywood. It's been the core of my humanitarian work for over 15 years. And now that this movement has collectivized and catalyzed and is here, it's incredibly gratifying to me.
And Steve, since this tsunami hit Hollywood, how complex has the series of allegations become?
Yeah, it's become very complex, and some of the most prominent male figures in America's giant movie, media and entertainment business have been caught up in a series of allegations. But it should be said, the allegations range across the piece, from very serious criminal accusations faced, of course, by Harvey Weinstein in particular, and it should be said they are accusations that he denies. But then in other cases, they're much more about what is perceived to have been deeply inappropriate, but not necessarily criminal behavior. The latest individual to come under the spotlight and intense scrutiny is the actor James Franco, who's faced a series of online allegations in recent days. He's responded to them. He said that he does not believe that he is actually guilty of some of the things alleged, but he says, if I have behaved badly, then I will do my very best to right any wrongs I have done. So I put it to Ashley Judd that there may be a danger in conflating together very different forms of inappropriate behavior, and this is what she said to that.
I think it's fantastic to have the conversation and starting to articulate and identify and really and have a gradient of behaviors and understand that there is a spectrum of behavior. That's so important. You know, unless we talk about this and tease each part of it out, we can't understand what is unacceptable and what is, and we also need the lexicon for describing the behavior.
Yesterday I switched my TV on and there was news of another actor, James Franco, who has been the subject of a number of different accusations from women, mostly online. And James Franco's response is, look, hey, I didn't do the things that I'm accused of, but if I did in the past behave badly, then I am going to work my very hardest to put things right. I wonder now about the atmosphere that you see in your industry, in entertainment, in other industries too, where it seems some men feel that they are, in a sense, being presumed guilty without due process.
I think that what James said is terrific, and I think that we've all behaved at a certain level unconsciously and done things that were insensitive, inappropriate, without necessarily understanding that they were. I mean, we've all operated with a certain amount of tone deafness, and I like the culpability, and we have to have restorative justice. This is about men and women being all together and having a more equitable and just workplace, home life, social spaces.
She is an ambitious woman, Ashley Judd. She made it plain to me that what she believes must happen now is a radical cultural, societal change, not just in the United States, but around the world as well. And it's quite clear that with Me Too and the other campaign, Time's Up, she's going to be in the forefront of the effort to make that change happen.
Steve, thanks very much. Stephen Sacca there in Washington. You can see the full version of